Week 1 college football begins this week. Utah will be playing Florida. They're -6.5. We have got the bet for you on that game. Plus, Kevin Dolan's got a plus 1,000 bet that I have already personally bet coming up at the end of the show. Welcome to WagerTalk Today. Bryan Leonard joining us. Bri, how are you, brother? We're right at the cusp, the beginning. It all starts now.
Yes, it does. And if you bet that plus 1,000, is there still any value for the rest of us?
No. Well, as soon as I bet, it's now plus 240. I mean, they're line movers, and then there's people who move lines. I don't even know what that means.
I don't know who any of those people are, but
yeah.
You know
Teddy?
who a few of those people are, right?
Yes, I do.
Teddy, you're supposed to set up the first game. We did this on Friday. Think, focus.
Brian, let's talk a little MLB for today. The slumping New York Yankees have had all kinds of problems in recent weeks. Their sub-500 team, Tampa Bay, made fun of them yesterday and said, we're just playing a last-play team. We're supposed to dominate these guys. And here we are, the Yankees, basically in a pick-em price range today in Detroit against the Tigers. Tigers are short favorites, -115. Total set at 8.5. Juice to the under, looking at the WagerTalk Live odds screen. How do you want to go with this game, Mr. Leonard?
With everybody all excited about football now, I think we get a little bit of an advantage in baseball because a lot of people don't care, and they especially don't care about these 4 teams that I'm going to be talking about today. But that's where we make our money. You make your money by following the teams that nobody cares about, and you've got a big advantage in that regard. And, yeah, the Yankees are playing at Detroit today, and the box score showed a pretty good start from Severino his last time out, at least compared to his earlier outings. But in reality, he was very lucky in that start. He still wasn't very good. He's a guy that's noted for his fastball and his strikeout ability, and he just doesn't have it this year. Looking at his season-to-date numbers, he's in the 3rd percentile, out of 100 percentile, obviously. 3rd percentile in expected batting average, 2nd percentile in expected slugging percentage, 2nd percentile in expected ERA. Comes in with a whopping 1.75 whip, 7.26 ERA. Now, while his advanced numbers are a little bit better, he's still one of, if not the worst, starting pitcher in the American League. If it wasn't for the gentleman Wainwright in St. Louis, he could be counted as the worst baseball pitcher of the season, and he still may be. Reese Olson has a 1.25 whip, 5.29 ERA, but his xFIP is 4.07. Sierra's the same number, 4.07. I've watched this young player. He's been very good for Detroit. I like him tonight. Yankees are 2-8 their last 10 games, while the Tigers are 6-4 during that same time frame. If the names on these jerseys were flipped, no way this line would be anywhere near this right now. I can't believe that the line is as close as it is with Severino on the mound here with a Yankees team who has one professional hitter on their team. Give me Detroit here. Detroit's a team that continues to play hard, and I think a lot of that is because of the future Hall of Famer DHing. He brings out the best of everybody. Everybody wants to win for him. And Cabrera's had a great season, and he's going down playing pretty well the last month or so. So give me Detroit. I think it's a really cheap number here.
There you go. Bryan Leonard, everybody. You find him at WagerTalk.com, an exclusive handicapper to our gang. Detroit -125. Reese Olson on the mound. Take advantage of that. What a great show we've got lined up for you. Bryan is going to look at the Pittsburgh-Kansas City game. Teddy's got his 6 Bs. Well, we are in football season, and they're always bad beats. Marco D'Angelo joining us afterwards. He's got a plus 190 bet for you all in the WNBA. We're also going to look at Milwaukee against the Cubs, which looks like a great series. 2 teams on fire right now, especially the Brewers. We have our betting strategy segment, which we'll get to later in the show. Teddy's big game breakdown, and Kevin Dolan is coming on. We got the Rugby World Cup starting in days, and he's got a plus 1,000 bet for you on that, and we'll take apart the Florida-Utah game. Bryan, let's get back to you. Pittsburgh on the road They're playing Kansas City. Greinke back, minus 105. I mean, yes, nobody wants to watch this game, but hey, money is money. If you've got a good bet for us, we'll take advantage of it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, the other, you said 125 on Detroit. They're about 110 everywhere. So it could close as high as 125, but we'll take the good number right now. Yeah, Pittsburgh and Kansas City, two more bad teams, but I'm a little bit impressed by both these teams for the future, just not this year. The Pittsburgh Pirates are a road favorite with Yohan Oviedo on the mound, a pitcher with an 11-24 career record, along with a 1.38 career WHIP. A team with an 88 WRC plus on the season versus right-hander starters, and yet Pittsburgh is the slight favorite in this matchup. The Royals were one of the two worst teams in baseball the first half of the season, but they played much better in the second half. They just did play Seattle, so their record in the last 10 is not that great, but Seattle's been on a great run. But I like the way the Royals are playing. Both teams have low payrolls, and they've been freely promoting their prospects all year long. You mentioned Zach Greinke on the mound, a veteran who's been around the block a few times. He owns 224 career victories and knows how to keep the opposition off balance. He should have a good day here against a young Pirate team that doesn't see pitchers like Greinke very much in the National League. I think Greinke's going to have a really good start coming here. He's a little bit rested up, and I think the Royals right now at this price range are a bargain.
Brian making a case for the Kansas City Royals in Pittsburgh. Brian, what do you have going right now at WagerTalk.com? $9 Mondays for all of our clients.
It's the $9 Monday, and I have the first game we talked about was the game that I used for clients today, so no need to purchase that for $9. But I do have a play up on Thursday, college football. Perfect start for us last weekend in college football. Nice winner coming up on this Thursday. I've got that up right now. You can get that until Monday night tonight at midnight for only $9. Goes back to the regular price after that. So make sure you grab that right now. And yeah, college football's here. NFL's around the corner, looking for lots of winning. Just not myself, but the entire Wager Talk crew.
Bryan Leonard, everyone. Awesome stuff. Teddy covers. Man, next Monday, your Bad Beat segment will be larger and then larger and then larger. At some point, we're going to have to dedicate a whole show to it. But for now, it's only going to be a couple of minutes. Fill us in, brother. Yeah. 6 B's, Teddy covers.
I'm not going to hijack the show with my bad beats, bad bets, bad for the books. A little recap of what just happened in the betting action over the weekend. That being said, we are going to give analysis each and every week where the money's gone, what are the beats that made people crazy, and what games do the books get absolutely destroyed on. So let's start here with some bad beats, bad bets, and bad for the books. 6 B's, as Lawrence likes to call it. And we'll start with a couple of bad beats. Look, if you had the Steelers-Falcons over, it wasn't any fun. 24-0, you still have 5 minutes left in the first half. You need 2 touchdowns to cash. The Falcons drive down to the 1 and fumble, and then crickets. An entire second half of crickets. That's not a traditional bad beat, but the over sure felt like the right side in that one until it didn't. You had the Bills at -3 or higher. That was tough too, man. Buffalo was available +1.5 earlier in the week. My clients and I were able to get down on that large, but the money came for Buffalo as we thought it would. They actually closed -4. They lead only by 11 after they missed a short field goal. And then the blocked punt led to the touchdown. And, of course, the 2-point conversion was good. Bills dominate. They win the game by only 3. You had Buffalo at the bad number. That was no fun. Jags or over. It doesn't matter. 31-18, fourth quarter against Miami. But we saw this once already this preseason. Now we've seen it twice. An injury and a stretcher and another game canceled with less than 55 minutes played. That means no action, all bets refunded. That's a tough rule for over bettors. Total in that game was 42.5. It was over by more than a touchdown when the game was canceled. All bets refunded. So, a couple of bad beats. When it comes to bad bets, look, they bet Carolina up to 4.5 on Friday night against Detroit. Lions didn't play anyone. They still dominated. It's going to be a long year in Carolina. Panthers bets this weekend, all bad. They bet Cleveland up to -3, up to -5. The Browns had not one but 2 defensive scores in a preseason game. 14 free points from the KC offense. and they still lost straight up. Cleveland, a bad bet. And let's not forget, UTEP went from a dog to a favorite. They lost by a field goal at Jacksonville State. They were the better team on the field, not on the scoreboard. Ohio, +4.5 to +2. Their quarterback got hurt, and then they lost by a touchdown at San Diego State. We'll call that a bad bet. And Louisiana Tech, -9.5, -12 against Florida International. Terrible first quarter for La Tech. They came on and won the game, but never sniffed -12. That, too, a bad bet. When it comes to bad for the books, there was a good handful this past week. Thursday night nightmare for the books. Look, Steelers bet up to -4.5, -5. There was no buyback. They won 24-0. Books lost that game big. Colts bet up -4.5, -5, no buyback. They won that game 27-13. The pros cashed in on both of those. Then on Friday, Titans from +2.5 to -2. The Patriots had cluster injuries in the OL. If you watch Wager Talk Today on Friday, you knew about that for my big game breakdown. Hopefully you cash winning bets on the Titans and the under. Anyhow, lots of people cashed those bets too. Not a good result for the house. Saturday wasn't much better. Not one, but two middles to open the day. We talked about the Bills +1.5 to -4 at Chicago. They won by 3. The Cardinals from +1.5 to -2 at the Vikings. They won by 1. Books lost all the steam. Then they lost the buyback too. That's an ouch. I don't know if I'm going to call the Cardinals a bad beat, winning by only 1. They missed a field goal. They missed an extra point. They missed a 2-point conversion. And down 17-3, they came back to win. Might have been a bad beat. I didn't put it in that category. Plus, then the Packers got bet from -1 to -3 over the Seahawks. They won by 4. Sunday night, the Texans got pounded by the Wise Guys, +3.5 down to +1. They beat the Saints outright. And one in college worth noting, Massachusetts at New Mexico State. All UMass money, +10 down to +7. They're even +6.5 out there. And UMass, the Minutemen, won outright wire to wire. So that game, too, a bad result for the house. There you have it, Prez. Bad beats, bad bets, and bad for the books. Back to you, my friend.
Teddy covers. We got a full slate of shows today. You're watching Wager Talk Today. 1 p.m. is the opening line report with Teddy Covers and Drew Martin. 2 p.m. is First Pitch, Dwayne Bryant, Jeff Michaels, and Steve Merrill. And then the Road to Millions, Andy Lang. And all we have is afternoon. So if you want to know when that show is on, hit the subscribe button, and we'll let you know as soon as it goes up. Marco D'Angelo, everyone. Marco, how are you, my brother? It's been, 7 whole days.
Did you miss me?
Dude, I don't even miss my children when I'm away from them. I certainly am not going to miss you. Teddy, you miss your kid when he's away?
Yeah, of course I miss my kid when I was away. But in terms of how much I miss Marco over the 7-day absence, I'll take the under.
Yeah.
How much I miss you over the weekend, I'll take the under on that one too. But yeah, I miss Isaac when he's away. Of course I do.
Yeah, I don't. I just go, leave. Once your kids are 20 and 22, not only do you not miss them, you're frankly sick of them. Marco D'Angelo. Let's get into some actionable information. A WNBA bet, a futures bet, +190 to win it all. Who's that team and why should we make this bet?
All right. Well, I want to know what you guys thought whenever you saw me put my games in Slack overnight, like thinking I was drunk or something with the WNBA game.
Yeah, I didn't even know you bet WNBA.
Well, this is the first play I'm giving to my clients, but I have been betting some games. And the reason for that, guys, is Teddy tells you all the time, you watch games. And by default, I do a radio show here in Vegas twice a week with a good friend of mine, TC Martin. TC Martin happens to also be the play-by-play guy for the Las Vegas Aces. So we do a lot of Aces talk, and I've gone to a lot of games this year. And I'm telling you right now, the Las Vegas Aces are not playing good basketball. And they've got the best record in the NBA. They're defending champs, but they have no depth right now. Candace Parker got hurt during the season, had to have foot surgery. Then just when Williams was supposed to come back for the Aces, she was out most of the season. She had some off-the-court issues. This team is basically only 8 players deep, but it's split up top 4, bottom 4. And the bottom 4 just don't help. They're not scoring points. And this is a team that's on a collision course to face the New York Liberty, who they happen to be playing tonight. These two teams will meet in the championship. Right now, it's +190. Probably it was +200, I bet it over the weekend myself, and I explained why I did it with Bryan Leonard. We were out together. He bet it as well. So shop around town. There's still 185s and 190s out there. But if the Liberty win this game tonight, they will have taken the season series 3-2, and people are going to see on national TV the problems that I'm talking about with the depth. And the difference with the Liberty is they have 5 players that score in double digits, the starters, and then they go 4 more deep off the bench that can score. That's going to be a big difference in a 5-game series if they meet for the championship like I feel they will. And after tonight, I think you're going to see a shift in the Liberty. This price is going to come down. The other thing that the Liberty do that other teams have not done to the Aces, they're physical. They pound them inside because of their depth. And it's frustrating. A couple times, Asia Wilson, the MVP of the WNBA, almost got into brawls in games. Take the Liberty plus 190. I think it is an absolute plus EV play, and it's actual client play I gave to my clients, shipped it out to them overnight last night.
And, of course, the Aces do play the Liberty tonight on ESPN2. Right now, the Liberty -1 in that game, total 174. Looking at the WagerTalk Live odds screen. Marco, I want to ask you this, because the nuance between the NBA and the WNBA. In the NBA, I never worry that much when the defending champs are kind of sluggish in the regular season the next year. You know, they know what it takes to win a title. They know how to flip the switch when the postseason starts. And you see teams in the NBA, veteran teams who've been there before, sometimes have mediocre regular seasons that go on playoff runs. Can the Aces be that team? Because certainly this regular season, they still have the best record. It hasn't meant anything. They're a title team. They're thinking about what's going to happen now, not what's already happened. Do you worry at all about that the Aces may be better than their current form once the postseason rolls around?
They are better than what they're playing right now, Teddy. They're 3-3 their last 6 games. But if you've watched the games and you've looked at their schedule, this is a tired team. The top 4 players that I said, Wilson, Plum, Chelsea Gray, and Jackie Young, they're averaging over 32 minutes a game. That's not sustainable. And if you've watched their shots in the games, we always know, anybody that's played basketball, when you're coming up short on your shots, you're hitting the front of the rim on jumpers, it's your legs. And this is a tired team, and that's because of the minutes they're playing. And against this team, they got to play on both ends of the court, because they got to play defense as well, because they're so efficient on offense, are the Liberty. And then, as I said, the Liberty are making them work for shots. The Liberty have held the Aces to their 2 season lows this year, twice in the 60s. And this is a team, the Aces, that have averaged over 92 points per game this season.
Marco D'Angelo joining us, everyone. And Marco, you picked a great game to talk about. The Milwaukee Brewers versus the Chicago Cubs. Milwaukee has won 8 in a row. Many of them blowouts. I mean, and this team is just, this is a team that we all were talking about that lacked offense not a month ago. And we were worried. Everyone was saying take Cincinnati to win the division 2-3 months ago. A month ago, take the Cubs to win the division. This Brewer team has put up 10, 5, 7, 8, 7, 6, 6, and 9 runs in the last 8 games. Their bats are alive. They're playing the Cubs, who just put up 10 and 10. And the Cubs themselves have won 7 of their last 9. Minus 133 for the Cubs. I mean, I think for me, and I looked at this game about 2 hours ago, and I look at Milwaukee here. I just think it's a mismatch with Miley versus Jameson. I'm curious if you agree.
Yeah, Wade Miley is one of those pitchers that when you look at his stats, they don't look bad. But anybody that looks at the advanced metrics always are down on Wade Miley, because he always seems to outpitch what his statistics say he should be doing. Now, I'm looking at this game, and for the Cubs, this is an important series for them for 2 reasons. One is obviously Milwaukee's red hot. But as you said, the Cubs are playing just as good, 7 out of their last 9. The Cubs are in a heated battle for the wild card spot. There are 6 teams vying for 3 spots. Philadelphia has the number 1 seed, and they got a 3-game cushion. But after that, it's the Cubs in second position, but there is only 3 games separating the number 2 spot to the number 6 spot in the wild card race. So they need to keep winning to hold their position in the wild card. The other point of this is they still have an outside shot at catching Milwaukee. They're 4 games behind Milwaukee entering this series. They have to win 2 out of 3. Absolutely. They can't do anything less than that. Cut into the lead that would make it 3. But if they could pull off a sweep, they could get this to 1 game. This is the last time they face Milwaukee for the regular season. So if they have any hopes of catching them, it's this series, and they got to get it done. Jamison Taylor goes for the Cubs, and I know his numbers don't look good on the season, but that last start is very, very misleading. You know I'm a big guy about looking at the strikeout to walk ratio. I think that's a great indicator on pitchers. In his last start, if you just look at the box score, you're going to see, he went 5 innings, gave up 4 runs. Big deal, not a great outing. Well, he went 5 full innings pitching shutout ball. The 4 runs all came in the 6th inning. He didn't record an out. I don't understand what the manager was thinking. He gave up 3 straight singles in the top of the 6th inning. They didn't pull him. They left him to face the 4th batter. And what happened? He gave up a home run, grand slam. Then they finally pulled him on the 99th pitch of his outing. How they left him in that long is beyond me. And his strikeout to walk ratio in that game, as you know, I'm big on that, was 6-1. So he was dealing it for those 5 innings. I think we're going to get a good outing out of him. I am going to back them tonight. And the Cubs, if you look long-term, the last 50 games, they're playing .620 baseball. They're 31-19. Let's take them and a little stat on Taylor. And this goes back. Remember where he started? He pitched a long time for the Pittsburgh Pirates, a very bad team. He's always had a better second half of the season. And in his career, he's 59-27 in the second half of the baseball season. I'm going to go ahead and take the Cubs tonight. I hate to use that must-win situation, but let's say it's a very important game. You can't win a series or sweep a series if you don't win the first one, and they're going to throw everything at this one to grab the first game of this series.
So we talk a lot about riding streaks in baseball. The Brewers are the hottest team in MLB. We talk a lot about offenses that get in a rhythm. Lawrence read off the numbers. Brewers' offenses are on fire right now. The lineup can't stop. It's not like they've been beating bottom feeders the whole way. They swept Texas, they swept Minnesota, they swept San Diego. And you talked about how Miley's one of these pitchers who the numbers don't always give an accurate depiction of who the pitcher is. So it sounds to me the whole way like you're making a case for Milwaukee, and then you turn around and say, no, Chicago's the team. Why are we stepping in front of the Brewers today?
Well, again, all of the numbers that I said about Miley, I say that his numbers – the advanced metrics say he shouldn't be pitching as good as he is. So I am looking.
Yeah, but year after year, he's been doing that.
He has. He's been one of those mysteries, and he's probably, with most of the advanced metric guys, a thorn in their side over the years. I agree with you, Teddy. But this is just one of those spots where, Milwaukee's winning, and I always say don't step in front of the streets. You know I do that. But the Cubs are playing good baseball. It's not like the Cubs are struggling either. .620 baseball over a 50-game sample size is solid. And those teams that you just rattled off, the Padres, the Twins, and Texas, what's their current records over the last 10 games?
They're all
three of those teams, okay?
Yeah.
They're not playing good baseball, any of those teams. So, I get the streaks there. I just think this is such a big series, and the fact that it's the final series, the final time they meet, I'm going to back that. The market's kind of agreeing, with me. We've seen this, I should say the opening number is giving the Cubs a lot of respect here. So this is one of those. I'm taking a situation, Teddy, and watching that last game. You've watched as many baseball games. How many times have you sat there and screamed at the TV manager leaves a guy in where you absolutely see the guy is gassed? Why are you leaving him in there to face another batter?
More than
Okay.
once.
There you go, Marco D'Angelo. Marco, your 4% and 5% plays have been ridiculous for close to 2 years. 317 wins, 254 losses. If you bet $100 on every 4 and 5% play Marco has put out, which is most of his plays, you would be up $7,239, 6-0 to start the NFL season, to start football. Sorry. And it's $9 Mondays. What do you got for our clients today?
Well, I've got up right now the Play Monday Massacre. We've got a game that we like. You can check that out over there. And as you said, we are off to a 6-0 start with football, 5-0 in the preseason, 1-0 in college football. Grab the early bird specials, guys. Time's running out. Now's the time to jump on for football. We've been doing this for a long time, 43 years, guys. Jump on board. Find your favorite capper on Mondays. Grab those $9 plays. And if you're looking long-term, find the capper you're comfortable with and ride them long-term. You're going to be there for everything, guys, the good and the bad. But if your guy is a winner, he's going to give you more good than bad.
Marco D'Angelo, everyone. Teddy Covers, it's time for your big game breakdown.
Let's do it. Today's big game breakdown. Let's talk some college football TV action for Friday night. Look at the WagerTalk live odds screen. Louisville and Georgia Tech on ESPN, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time on Friday night. I'm seeing Louisville an 8-point favorite. There are some 7.5s out there. Total 49.5/50 in this one. This is ostensibly a neutral site game in Atlanta. It's not really a neutral site game, although there will be some Louisville fans there. It is a Georgia Tech crowd. Look, we saw 7-3 to the under over the opening weekend. FBS games 4-3 to the under. FCS games 3-0 to the under. And over the last 2 years, we've seen a strong propensity for week 0/week 1 unders. We have a situation for Louisville. They might be good at the end of the season offensively, but I'm not convinced that in game 1, Brahms' offense is going to be clicking on all cylinders. Let's not forget new schemes, new system, all kind, and a new offensive line where they got transfers mixed into the mix. Jake Plummer played for Brahm at Purdue and then went to Cal and then is back here. Decent QB, but I've got my concerns about whether this offense is going to be clicking on all cylinders in week 1. And then Brent Key, I mean, how did Georgia pull off the upset? How'd they go 4-4 down the stretch last year? They won at Pitt. They won at North Carolina. Their defense played really well. And I would not be surprised that defense, again, plays really well. Yeah, Brent Key said they studied schemes and systems from Braun's previous tenures at Purdue and Western Kentucky. They cut up film on all the different offensive weapons from their respective former schools and try to figure out how they're going to fit into the scheme. It sounds like they're fairly well prepared for this ball game. But this is an offense where they scored 17 points a game last year. Might be a little bit better. I'm not convinced it's going to be clicking on all cylinders week 1. Week 1 propensity for unders. We've already seen sharp money on this one under, and I agree with that move. Let's take Louisville and Georgia Tech. You can still find 50s, 49.5 the prevailing number. Let's go under the total with these two on Friday night. There's your big game breakdown. Back to you, Mr. Prez.
Teddy Covers with under 48.5 in the Georgia Tech game.
49.5.
49. I saw the image.
If there's a 48.5, don't bet that under. 49.5, the number we're looking for. Yes.
Well, if you guys agree or disagree, let us know. Put it up in the comment section on our YouTube video and take a second out of your day and hit that like button. Teddy Covers, it's time for our BS segment, betting strategy with Teddy and the Prez. Please put that question up. This question was asked. I'm losing my mind today. Asked by Lance August. Please explain what a proxy is for gambling at the Westgate contest. Teddy, explain what a proxy is, and then we'll talk about the proxy that we all use and love and have nothing but a pleasure working with.
Sure. Proxy service is someone that's going to put in your contest plays for you. So if you're not going to, they can't put in bets for you. That's being a beard, and that's technically illegal. But a proxy is fully legal, fully regulated, et cetera, et cetera. And what they do, you sign up with the proxy, you put your picks into the proxy, and the proxy enters your picks in the contest. A lot of people come from out of state, and you have to be within the state borders to get your contest picks in. So if you live in New Jersey, if you live in Florida, if you live in Canada, you live wherever, and you want to come and be in these contests this year, you can be in them this year. You just have to hire a proxy service. They're certainly reasonably priced. I live in Vegas, and I use a proxy service.
Yeah.
Why? Because I'm too lazy to go run around putting my picks in, and it's worth the very reasonable price for me to have someone else does it for me. And when it comes to somebody else, look, we all know Kelly in Vegas. We love Kelly in Vegas. And there's a reason that her proxy service has become an industry standard, become an industry leader. Lawrence, you want to talk about it?
Yeah, and we all use it. And Teddy, you're right. Most of the handicappers in Vegas use this service as well. It's Winner's Circle. Go to winnerscircleproxy.com. They explain why you should use them. This is a group of people that we've used year in and year out, and they have been nothing but a pleasure. They have a back-end system you can put the plays in. You can get, there's a tiered program where you can get them to put the plays in at the last moment. They have an ability, like if you buy 10 different survivors, they'll help you organize it. This is a great service for everybody. It's inexpensive. It's worth using. Go to winnerscircleproxy.com. I have had nothing but an incredible experience with this service, Teddy.
Yeah, so the single most important thing for a proxy is every week your plays get in the system as they're supposed to be in the system. Winner Circle's been doing this for what, a decade plus?
Yeah.
And I've never, not one time have I heard, oh no, my play got in wrong. It'd be all over Twitter. Doesn't happen. Accuracy is the key, making sure your picks are in and they're in on time. And Winner Circle Proxy, again, I have no hesitation recommending them, not just because of my friends, because they're good.
And speaking of Kelly Stewart, everybody, she will be on Wednesday's show, first guest, and then from there on in, all the way through football season, we will have Kelly with us every single Wednesday. Teddy Covers, Kevin Dolan, the Irishman, is joining us. Get the subtitles ready. Bring the translator on. What up, my Irish friend?
What's happening, fellas? Good to be back on the show.
So, Teddy, what he was saying there was what's happening, and then he likes to be on the show.
He also said fellows. Yeah, we got it.
Fellows.
I understand Irish, dude. I've been. You have to spend more time in Ireland. You spend a couple of weeks in Ireland. You understand?
Dude,
how they're saying. You gotta hang.
I was with one Irish woman in my life, and anyway, sorry, lost it there, Kev. Man, Ireland is the #1 ranked rugby team in the world.
Yeah.
How? When did that happen?
Well, it's because we're really good. And,
No
it's nice
chance.
being from Ireland and your country is finally good at something. So, soccer, we're way down the rankings and so on. So, yeah, we're going into this tournament as the #1 team in the world. Fingers crossed, obviously, but they face stiff competition.
Yeah, I played rugby for many, many years. Teddy, can you name a position? Just one position in rugby.
Center.
Oh, okay. That works. There's two of them.
I've been to a rugby match. I've been to one. In my life when I lived in Edinburgh, but it rained the whole time, and the whole time it was just one scrum after another on the field. They were just laying around on each other, for most of the game. It wasn't.
That's what probably makes Ireland so good. They're very familiar with lying around outside after a night of Guinness. It's actually, Teddy, it's officially inside center and outside center. I was a fly half. Kevin Dolan, you got a plus 1,000 bet for us on who's going to win it all. They're the 9th ranked team in the world. Tell us about them.
Obviously looking forward to this tournament. We just mentioned Ireland's #1 team in the world. There are basically 4 teams who are going to win this. So I just want to pump the brakes on my bet, because my bet's basically a hedging bet, but we'll get to that here. But yeah, you got France, New Zealand, Ireland, South Africa. All of those teams can make a claim to be in among the best in the world to win this tournament. So, it does make an outright futures play tricky here. Ireland, they look like the form team. They're demolishing everybody. They won the Grand Slam in the recent Six Nations back in March. They've been pretty much red hot ever since, just destroyed England last week as well. The one caveat to Ireland is they've never made it past the quarterfinals of a World Cup tournament. So as good as they look right now, it does give you some pause on backing Ireland here, just because you have to take historic form into account. And, the historic form hasn't been good for Ireland. France, obviously the host nation, they'll see this is one of their best ever opportunities to win the World Cup. 3-time runners-up in this competition, at home, as we said, and with players like, Antoine Dupont, Gregory Aldrit, and so on. Every team is going to fear them in this tournament, especially with that massively, pro-French crowd behind them as well. South Africa can be dangerous on their day. They have slipped a little bit for me, though, South Africa. I know they come off that record break and win last week over New Zealand, but there's just too many injury concerns in that squad for me. Diego, Pollard, Colossus, and so on. I just can't see them consistently overcoming the likes of Ireland, New Zealand, and France in this competition, given how many players are questionable. And, you got New Zealand as well. Their roster looks incredibly strong heading into this tournament, even with that heavy loss against South Africa last week. And plus the fact Ireland beat them fairly handily in back-to-back test matches in New Zealand last year as well. So, this tournament's wide open. I would expect the winner to come from one of those four, but it's how the tournament progresses has put me off back on one of those, because a lot of those teams will knock each other out in the quarterfinals. So I'm going to take Australia here at plus 1,000, like you said at the start instead. Head coach Eddie Jones definitely hasn't had the smoothest of transitions, went from England back to his native Australia, and he's made some really gutsy calls in terms of his roster lineup since coming back. He left out long-time captain Michael Hooper. Quade Cooper's out as well, and he seems fully intent on going with youth over experience ahead of this tournament, which, could make Australia dangerous here. The most important thing for me, as I mentioned, though, is that Australia have pretty much a clear run to the semi-finals. England are a mess right now. Wales are an even bigger mess. Maybe Argentina can potentially spring a surprise on Australia, but I really like the value in holding the plus 1,000 ticket heading into the semi-finals, of this competition. And then, we see what we can do in terms of hedging out later in the tournament against one of the big boys.
No
Teddy.
Hooper, no Cooper, but Oz is still hot. Look at Australia, plus 1,000 to win the Rugby Cup. What's it called? The Rugby Cup? What are we talking about? The World Cup.
The Rugby World Cup. Yeah, Ireland.
Which is why I don't
it.
have a follow for
The
I don't know
Irish
the name
people
of the
will fill
tournament.
it with Guinness. They'll just drink all night.
I clearly don't have a follow for the Rugby Cup. That said, Kevin Dolan says, look at Australia at the nice 10-1 price. One thing I might have a follow-up on when we talk a little college football. Thursday night, the ESPN opener. This one's going to be a lot of fun. Florida travels to Utah. Look at the WagerTalk live odds screen. We've seen money for the Gators. We've seen money for the under. I'm seeing 6/6.5 for the side, 45.5 the prevailing number for the total. And the reason the money's coming for Florida and the money's coming for the under, we have question marks about Cam Rising for the Utes, how healthy he's going to be, if he's going to be good enough to go at all. He is their returning QB. If he doesn't play, it's certainly a significant adjustment to the powering number for Utah. Utah, Florida, what are we going to do? Thursday night kickoff classic.
Yeah, I'm not in total agreement with that money, Teddy. Obviously some major changes for both teams since last season's 29-26 win for Florida down in Gainesville. Most notably, obviously, no Anthony Richardson this time around for the Gators. And you would say, Graham Mertz is definitely a big downgrade in that department coming over from Wisconsin. Mertz has racked up double-digit interceptions in both of his last two seasons. He ranked 80th in QBR rating last year as well. And while he was, effective against defensive units that allowed him space, those, high-pressure units of Iowa, Minnesota, Illinois, and so on really gave him all sorts of issues last year. And Utah, they're in that bracket. So, Florida are going to have to rely even more on the running game now, which was dealt a blow last week, with the Cam Carroll news. He'll be out for the season with a torn knee ligament. That puts even more pressure now on the top two of Montreal Johnson and Trevor Etienne. And, Richardson really did offer this Gators, offense dual threat capability last season. They could torch teams through the air. They showed that against Tennessee. putting up 453 yards through the air in that game. Obviously, they could dominate teams on the ground as well. Top 15 rushing team last year on yards per rush. But, I just believe Wirtz makes this Florida team a bit more one-dimensional. Do I have issues with this Utah team? Also, most certainly. As you mentioned, the whole Cam Rising thing. Is he at 100% coming off that torn ACL over the summer? Brancuti still questionable at tight end as well. Dalton Kincaid gone pro, but even so, Utah has the better defensive unit in this one for me. They have more weapons at wide receiver, and they have the better quarterback, providing he's anywhere near game ready. And, they're incredibly tough out in this venue as well. The Utes have gone 12-0 here across the last 2 seasons. So, yeah, not in agreement with the money. Under a touchdown. I'll go Utah here to get revenge, minus the points here on Thursday against Florida.
Teddy, do you have a follow-up?
He nailed that. I asked him the question, and I went through it.
Teddy has no follow-up for me. Teddy has no follow-up question.
Dude, you don't want to mess with an Irishman. Like, this is the way it works.
Here's the follow. What's the latest on Rising? Is he going to play? What have we heard on Rising the last couple of days? Because the last I heard, he was still real dicey about whether he's going to be able to go or not and how effective he's going to be. So what's the latest you've heard on Utah's returning starting quarterback, Cam Rising, who's battled injuries this offseason?
I believe it was 18 hours ago. He is due to start and get in there. So, it seems positive news at least. And definitely I would favor him, like I said, over Mertz. I think it's a good matchup.
Kevin Dolan, everybody, exclusive handicapper at WagerTalk.com, and also the only one that has a book on handicapping that you can buy at Amazon.com. Kev, what's the name of the book, and what do you have to promote for our clients on $9 Monday?
The Complete Guide to Sports Betting. Such a simple title. Look, we just mentioned at the top, Rugby World Cup tournament package is up right now. Kicks off next week. You can access the entire tournament right through the way until October 28th for only $79. So make sure and join us for that. Rugby has been one of our best sports at Wager Talk. Apart from that, European soccer has been red hot out the gates as well. Number 1 in total profit in the EPL. Number 1 in total profit in French League. Number 1 in total profit in the German Bundesliga. And you can still pick up my entire EPL season for only $1.99 as of today. Takes you all the way through until May 2024. No coupon code needed. So, great time to jump on board and, profit with us throughout the year.
Kevin Dolan, Kevin, before you leave, we do have a minute, and I have to ask you this question. So, Bubba Watson does his polo shirt button up to the top. And I see you do it as well. And I've always been curious why anyone would do that. Is it comfort? Is it aesthetic? Why would anybody button a polo shirt to the top button? I'm baffled.
I got a hairy neck. Like the hairs on my chest. A
hairy
up to there.
neck.
So it just, it makes it easier.
Zoom in on his neck.
You can. Do not zoom in on me neck. What are you talking about?
Okay, so it's the hairy neck syndrome.
I heard you say Bubba Watson.
Yeah, remember him?
Yeah, he must have a hairy neck syndrome as well.
Oh, did you know that, Teddy? This is a hairy neck technique?
So this is what I know if you have a hairy neck is you get a razor and you trim it.
Yeah.
I'm too lazy.
Kevin Dolan, everyone.
My hair would be sticking all the way out here. It'd be a nightmare. Yeah.
I have zero hair on my body.
No one wants to see your chest.
Hey, everybody wants to see my chest. Thank you, Kevin Dolan. What a great show, everyone. Shout out to Kevin, to Bryan Leonard, to Marco D'Angelo, our production crew, Dan and Joe, outstanding, world class. Hit that like button. Teddy, my brother, take us home.
Yeah. Lawrence's chest has left me a little bit nauseous. But that's going to wrap it for the Monday edition of Wager Talk Today. We'll do it again tomorrow. Same time, same channel. 9 a.m. here on the left coast. Noon for you back east. Stay tuned right here on the Wager Talk YouTube channel, Wager Talk TV, for the opening line report. 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern. Myself and Drew Martin, 15 minutes from now. Between now and then and tomorrow's show, enjoy the games and best of luck with all your wagers.